Okay, so we're just done with our introduction. So let's just see what is cloud computing. So long back, right? We have a legacy model. Whenever we wanted to start company, we need a data center for ourselves, and then we need to have that power and water supply for the data centers. No matter what business you see, yours may be food business or you may be retail business. IT has become somehow integral part of it. If you want to sell anything or if you want to do any kind of business, we need a website, pretty much website for anything. So to reach global audience, you need a website which is like information technology. So this has become pretty much integral part of your business. If you start and do these things for your business, you need to have a data center for your servers. You need to have that 24 hour by 7 power supply just to make or feed your servers to that electricity and then make that up and running. And you need water supply and these things for to make your servers and in the temperature that it requires. So this is for bread and butter for computers. So you pretty much need, so to do these things, right? You need to heavily invest these things even though you are doing a business of 100,000 dollars or pounds. You again need to have a separate budget allocated for this data center and these things. When you are doing this, you are not just entering into another business. You are eluding away from your business. You don't know what the business gonna happen, or maybe you want to give a try to that business. How does that do? So for that, a lot of ideas are not really coming into reality. So that is the legacy model. And if you want to scale these servers, let's say you will have a heavy traffic for 1 day or 2 days just for the Christmas parties, or for festivals. For let's say Black Friday, you will have a more crowd on Amazon for shopping. So if you have that kind of things, you cannot really scale. You again, the planning has to be well advanced. And for just for scaling, right, you'll have to plan for 6 months. You'll have to get the approvals, and you add those servers and hardwares yourself. And then for 2 days you are done with that, and again you'll have to keep them in a place. And again for next year, you don't know that is the same capacity of traffic that is on your websites, and you go again to the hardware which you purchased. If any new hardware required, again you will have to provision it, and you need to maintain the hardware for the 1 year or 8 months of time that you haven't used it. So all these are all the overhead if you stick with the legacy model. The cloud is any technology which gives few features to you is called cloud. So that we I will be discussing with you. So this is what we are going to cover today. So this is how a data center actually look like, right? And you need to maintain, you need to have a security person and to take care of this facility. And you need to have somebody, if something goes wrong, to change a cable or to change a drive, you need somebody to take care of these things. So you are diverting yourself from the business. And general software architecture looks like this. So you will have a hardware, and on top of that you will have a operating system, and on top of that you will have a middleware, something like Tomcat, um, uh, JBoss. You will have a WebSphere, and these kind of and on top of that you will have your application deployed. So just for the for your general understanding. So issues with traditional legacy IDs, let's say, as I said, the planning takes a lot of time. It is time consuming, and if you need any server, again you'll have to tell your team to provision a server. It used to take months of time once you say that you need a server, and all the time you are not only losing business. And again, After the time, if you know that your planning is bad, then again you need to spend a lot of time and invest a lot of time into getting another server. And all this time you not only depend completely on planning, but the resources that you have engineers, they may be idle, firefighting the issues what your current infrastructure has. So you cannot scale. And after you provision instances for 2 days, let's say if you don't think about the traffic, and let's say you have a website and you get on to that website, and if that website is not responsive, two times three times you see it, most of the people, if they have similar websites which offer similar things, whoever website is fast, they don't pay, they don't mind paying maybe two extra quits if the service is really good, instead of waiting half an hour, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, just for the making that website up, or waiting for the services to be online. So time is important than anything. And the trust, right? When you lose your customer, you cannot gain it. So it's very very difficult for companies to have that loyal customers and make customers loyal. So you shouldn't be losing any business what you have. This is very very highly competitive world. So that is the reason you don't want to lose any traffic. And that is the reason, if you don't want to lose any traffic, you need to scale it. No matter if that is you for 2 days or for 3 days, you should offer good services to people. If you want to offer for 2 days, you can't provision for all year and then keep them separately, and all your profits, or maybe you can't put your business and investment in risk just for the sake of customers also. Let's say your business is worth of 100,000 pounds, you cannot you are not ready to lose. I mean, you can't lose 500,000, right? So you should have that what is that boundaries also. So why, what is cloud? So all this while, right, we're talking about this, but how about somebody taking care of these things for us? So when somebody is taking care, it's not like you outsource this to somebody. uh, they they are good at these things. So what you need to do is you just buy your infrastructure, whatever RAM or memory or operating system or image, you just buy them with internet. So if you are buying services with the internet, that is pretty much what cloud is. And just like how you pay your gas, electricity and taxi. So let's say when you're riding, the very good example that I've taken somewhere from the web and I put it here. So you hide a taxi, and then taxi has allocated for you just for one hour or so. And their purpose is to take from source to destination. Sometime you may have to the taxi may have to wait for you. When they wait for you, you there may be slight charges because they're not running it. So something like that, the cloud also. Once you are done with your trip, so taxi is no more yours. So the same way, you can actually occupy, let's say you can reserve it for 1 year, 2 years, or you can also pay as you go. Like you can take it for, you can take it and install it. As long as you use it, you will have to pay it. Once you are done with it, if you remove that, and that phrase that space will be freed up from the cloud end, and they will give it to somebody else, just like your taxi which I've told. Like, so the bill goes up fast when you're taking a ride, the bill goes up slow when you're waiting, the bill ends when your trip is completed. See, as simple as that. So there is, cloud characteristics as these five. So any technology which like gives these five characteristics, then you can say that it is cloud. So on demand is whenever you want. It's not like next month you get it, or after a couple of months you get it. Whenever you want it, maybe within few minutes, within few seconds, you are able to get whatever you want. Let's say you need a server, you need a database, you need uh, any service, within few minutes you should be able to get it. That is on demand. And broad access networks, no matter what kind of type of gadget that you have, you may have the mobile phone, you have iPod, iPad, you may have that tablet, you may have that what is that, uh, your laptop, so desktop, and then no matter which operating system they use. So when something is able to serve variety of devices, so that is broad network access. And resource pooling is all resources are pooled. So if you see here, so this is something like Amazon data center also looks the same way. So it is just like you are not taking care of that, but somebody is taking care of that and then giving you resources by following that characteristics. So you may have your data here, and somebody may have their data here, somebody may have their data here. So you can also purchase in Amazon like your detailed dedicated drive, but that might be little expensive. But this is why people are really concerned that why should I keep my data into US data centers. That is why Amazon and some other cloud providers also bringing those data centers into the place. Let's say London has a data center, separate data centers and availability zone, something like that. So you in even if it comes to London, then that a space is between shared, right? It is all pooled together. So you might be used some part of this server, I might be used some part of this server, but it is all uh, secure, and you will not be knowing my data is there, and I will not be knowing your data is there. So they keep Amazon keeps those things very very private and very secure. So you'll not be knowing whose data is next to you. And that is what resource pooling. And rapid elasticity is whenever you want you can scale it up, and when you have a business, and whenever you have no business you can scale it down. And so it's like this, right? This season may be good for the food, and one season may be good for the travel, because the summer is coming, it's good for the travel. So more traffic will be on travel websites. So whenever there is a Christmas, right, so that is maybe more for shopping. So and whenever you have uh, some sites for your services like bill payments or these things, so those are something like month end, right? And so every business, we have a different variety of businesses, and for them season is different, unseason is different. So Amazon has different types of businesses within them, somebody hosted. So if your business is not going good today, you may use less resources today. At the same time, somebody's business may be good that time, so resources are scaled for them. If you don't it's like that. And when business is growing and when expectations are growing, Amazon is also growing with the businesses. They are providing very very good services, and it is still master for Gartner. So that is about rapid elasticity. You can scale it up and you can scale it down based on your need. And auto scaling group also falls under that. So measured services is nothing like pay as you go. So you use it for 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, use it for 1 year, pay for the time what you use. uh, Azure and AWS charges for one hourly basis. I think Google Cloud charges for per minute basis. So the minimum unit that you pay things for is 1 hour. So this is what measured services like pay as you go. And you have a free tier which is like 1 year. And if unless if you don't use very big instances, and if you use only t2.micro, then you will be falling into that free tier. And they give you 720 hours. That means you can use one instance completely all over the month. So if you add two instances, no problem. uh, All together, let's say if you run 10 instances for 1 hour, that means 10 hours are consumed. If you use two instances for 4 hours, two instances into 4 hours is 8 hours. That means you consumed 8 hours. But also the point to be noted, they say 720 hours of or 750 hours of compute. So that is what pretty much 24 hours into 30 days. And there is something called 750 hours of disk. So that means for the maximum disk that you can use for instance in a free tier is 30 GB. If you use 30 Linux instances usually take 10 GB. Windows is minimum 30. If you add any extra disk other than 30, then they will charge for you. So again, it's an hourly basis. If you use 1 hour 1 minute, they might charge for 2 hours. So the same way, if you have a 10 instances, disks also calculated, right? You may think the 10 instances you use for 5 hours, 10 into 50 hours. You should also consider uh, 10 instances has that disk, right? 750 is what is free for you. But if you use 10 into 10 instances and 10 GB 10 GB, it's like a 100 GB you've utilized. Only left is 650. So just to note. So this is what I pretty much wrote here. And again, you have a 4 types of cloud computing. So private cloud or on-premises cloud, public cloud, hybrid cloud, and community cloud. So private cloud is it's within the organization. It is not available in the internet. It is available within your company intranet. So the it's like on premises, right? Again, you have a overhead of uh, taking care of your hardware. You need to plan it well, but instead of planning for each and every time, you can procure huge hardware and then put that hardware in your company. On top of that, you put your hypervisor, but you get on demand VM. If you want, if you have a VMware, that hypervisor, if you need VM, you can get it. If you need extra disk, you can get it. You can have a network on uh, VMware. So something like that. So but you still have the maintenance overhead. If the hardware is old, that you may need to again take care of that. So the private clouds examples are your OpenStack, your VMware, and Azure has something called Azure Stack. It's like a competitor product to Azure. So it's pretty much the terminology will be same, but it's a on-premises cloud. It's like Azure Stack. So that is what your private cloud. The same thing which I've written this. And Microsoft has something called Hyper-V. Hyper-V is free with Windows 2012, I think. So it is more secure. Again, expenses, cost of having purchased to manage and maintain on provision hardware. So these things are your overhead. And this public cloud, so public cloud, you can access these things on internet. If you have internet, you can go buy it. You may have to pay for that. Of course, we have something called pay as you go. The good thing with it is it can be accessed and reached with internet. And examples: Azure Cloud, AWS, and Google Cloud. And you have DigitalOcean, CenturyLink, and lot of examples. So I'll tell you. So this is how private cloud looks like. Okay, it's all locked. So this is public cloud. So there is something called Rackspace. Rackspace is like, it offers very variety of service. They say managed cloud. So you don't have to do anything. If they say VM, right, you don't have to do anything. If you say I need something to be installed there, they do it for you. So you will have to pay extra money for that. So they have a different model here, Rackspace. So that is what public cloud. So public cloud examples, so they are this. So all popular, these three are very popular. IBM cloud is also coming these days. Hybrid cloud, it's like combination of these two. If you have private cloud like VMware, Hyper-V, and if you have AWS and Google Cloud and Azure, if you bring these two types of clouds into the same platform, so that is called hybrid cloud. It is the just few examples are, let's say you have your own hardware, you don't want to waste it, and if you have your own VMware license and you paid for it, and you're using it, right? So you go with private cloud. Once your license and these things are done, so once your license and these things are done, right, what you generally do is, you don't want to waste time and again money on these things. You just try to extend the additional hardware and additional things on public cloud. So this is a few scenarios people are doing these days. And you can also, let's say, database servers and information things you don't want to put into your public cloud. Few people feel they have very sensitive data. That time they, these kind of detail they put into their own internal cloud, and then other things like web servers and these things they try to put them on to these these public clouds. So this is another example of what hybrid cloud. So hybrid cloud is like hybrid service. VMware has a hybrid service again, VCHS, and AWS Direct Connect. So Direct Connect may not be right fit, but I've seen it that they call this as hybrid cloud, and it's a networking line, I think, between your data center and to your public cloud. So, and there is something called HP Cloud Service Automation. So I've been working a lot on this. It's a tool which brings all kind of technologies on your platform, and it brings things onto your umbrella. You can bring Azure, all varieties of VMware, Hyper-V, SCVMM. SCVMM is System Center Virtual Machine Manager, which is again a tool. So you can bring all these things into one umbrella, and then with the help of this tool you can provision into any of those tools. So it's like hybrid cloud. Combination of these two things is called hybrid cloud. And there is one more thing, community cloud. Let's say few of the people, let's say all companies have a mutual interest. So when they come together and then they form that community, and then they give access to only that community. I've heard something about something only maybe 1% or not even 1% of what you do, so that you can say community. So all financial firms come together and doing something, and they pay money and they invest money into that, and then they have access only, they only have access to it, nobody else have an access to the data. So that is what the community cloud. So let's say at the end of day, we're all single country, and we have something called financial and judiciary, a lot of other things, right? Because they're all government, they try to invest money as government sector, and then all these governments will have data access to these things. So something like that. So you have different minds, people with have mutual interest and mutual mindset, they come together and they invest, and they will have access together. So they don't let anybody enter, so unless and until again they find that they are authentic, and then interest, and they have that investment. So this is like community cloud. So which one is the best? There's no best and no bad thing. So we'll just have to pick based on what we really feel and need. So if you see money is not a constraint and overhead is not a constraint, I don't really want to and I don't even mind to have our engineers or something. You can go with private data because you have no constraints on anything. So you can really go with private. If you say that I want to go with the pace of the provider, pace of the market outside, and I want to have if any feature available in the public cloud, I should get it immediately, something like that. If you have that mindset, and obviously when they're selling something, it's not that very insecure, it's all secure. And it's about how do you create that security within your organization with the skill set or people you have. You can go with something like public cloud. And again, hybrid cloud, obviously a lot of companies has this hybrid cloud, the combination basically. So there is no right answer on the which one is best. It's all depends on the needs of the organization. So this is something that so private clouds set up as a virtual data center, dedicated servers, on demand scalability, so fixed cost. But here do it yourself, an insecure shared network. It's not, this is images which I copied from Google. It's not so insecure like it sounds. It depends on how you configure and how you do the things. So that is why we've got people like you, right? So this is just like a few things that I've got, and then I just put it here. And again, just to add here, right? General architecture is this. Why I brought this is we've seen that these are all types of cloud, and we have something called cloud delivery models. Cloud delivery models is IaaS, platform as a service, and SaaS. So just to remind you again, this is what I've depicted and pasted here. Before we get into these are all the things that we need to have in any application. So we should have networking and the low level, and on top of storage, servers, virtualization, operating system, middleware, runtime, data, and then application. So in on-premises cloud, this is what you manage, top to bottom. And if it is IaaS, right? So see, why people kept IOS that you can manage is, so if you have that EC2 instance that you spin, right, you will take care of installing patches, and then tightening that security, and then hardening the operating system. These things are done by you. So that is why these overheads is on you if it is IaaS service. And if it is a PaaS service, platform as a service is something like giving the development environment to your developers. So something like Tomcat, Apache, all these are taken care by you. But yes, so this is nothing but a platform as service. Software service is like G Suite, right? You have a Google Suite. Mailing system as a service is Gmail. And if you have a startup, and then if you want mailing services, you can Gmail can help you. So they will have a separate URL for you, and if you go with that URL, and you can see pretty much what Gmail see it, and you can use that service, and you can use that particular URL for the your company. So it will be very very similar like Gmail looks, because the Google has given that service to you. So and again, if you go to any billing counters in grocery picking, you see that software, right? That is also like software as a service. You will be given software, but no matter what kind of hardware is being used and what OS is used, you don't really care. You, all you care is your software is working or not. And here in platform as a service, you don't really care about the hardware. You only care about how many developers can have access to it, or else if you want to develop a Java, you require IDE, that should be there. And if you want you don't really care about this. All you care is that middleware, and then data, and then application that you have for development ready. So if you are writing a Java code, right, and all you need is way to write that code, right, and how to compile it and how to build it. So you don't really care about the amount it the hardware, the type of i7 you have, i5 you have. Maybe what you say is I need i5 to the provider, so they take care of it. But here, number of users, I have a I need an application which should support 500 users. That is what you say. You don't even care what software they've used, and what operating system they use to develop that application, or where that is hosted. And you don't even care that is on 4 GB RAM or 60 GB hard disk. All you care is your software is up and running. So that is it. uh, IaaS providers, Amazon AWS and Microsoft Azure, Google Cloud, DigitalOcean, Rackspace, IBM, HP Clouds, and CenturyLinks. So all these are
I mean,
all
quick question.
yeah,
Hello.
please.
If you go to the last screen, I mean,
Yeah,
in a containerized, these Docker containers and stuff,
yeah,
uh, what is that considered? Platform as,
okay.
I mean,
Container as a
w- w-
service, people have CAAS. So because containers has become so popular these days. um, if they say container as a service, right, all we care is are we getting that containers, and our is our application being containerized. Let's say now you care about here you care about operating system. I mean, you don't care about hardware, right? When you go
Yeah.
spin your instance, right, you don't care about did they use i7 i5. All you care is size of it,
Yeah.
and then you care operating system, and you take overhead. And if you say container as a service, take that container as a software, and then all you care is whether you are able to create containers or handle containers. You don't really worry whether they've put that container software on top of Linux or on top of Windows or on top of Mac. You don't really care. All you care is, are you able to handle or manage that containers.
And that will fall under which one? I mean, is it like platform as a service or
No, it can be
on which
software
you
as
deploy
service.
your containers? Yeah, software as a
Yeah,
service.
yeah,
Okay.
because you should have the Docker engine or something to be installed on it, right?
Yeah.
So
Okay.
you can say that somebody who is giving containers, for them containers is software, but for
Okay.
you it may not be software, because on top of that you build some application and you put again a software and you sell it to somebody.
Okay.
So that depends.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah, but these IAS providers, these are all the examples of it. And PaaS providers, in AWS we have something called Elastic Beanstalk. So that is like, you can go select and then spin it. When you select and spin it, you will have all things coming with you. I mean, you will, let's say you select, let's say I want lamp stack. Lamp is Linux, Apache, MySQL, and P is PHP. So if you select that, because that is very popular, uh, altogether it's very popular for hosting websites. So if you say lamp stack, they'll come automatically. So it's like a PaaS service for you. And Heroku is very popular, and Cloud Foundry and Microsoft Azure has a few of the services which is for which is like, PaaS service. And then Oracle Cloud PaaS, it has. So all this, if few these alternatives I picked it from Google because they are all popular, and to tell you the changes. And say SaaS, Salesforce, Google G Suite, even the Google Drive I'm using, right? For we might put something in it, but for them it is a service. For they are using Drive as a service. It's a software for them. They give space, but what you keep it, how you are using it is different for us. Again, DocuSign, you sign your documents, right, online, and then you said, so that is an application hosted on cloud. If you want that, you can take for number of users. The number of users you put, they can sell it. I mean, you pay money and you can get it. Same way, you people have been the collaboration tool that they're using. All almost a lot of organizations are using is Slack. That is again a cloud. You select your subscription plan, you pay money, you get for that users. And you, if you want to have Slack for your organization, you can create just like that's free for, I think, for 50 people or 30 people. But you cannot have history more than 500 messages if it is free. But if you pay money, something like £10 a month for one user, without any problem, you can go to the history and use it. So something like ServiceNow, which is very popular as an ITIL, but ServiceNow has a lot of modules. So this is ServiceNow. The good thing about ServiceNow is they maintain their own hardware, and they don't host their application on any public provider again. So this is again a SaaS service. GoToMeeting, we have used today GoToMeeting. So you just go, uh, register, and then you say this is a plan that I want. So it's like cloud. So any business which is associated with the cloud, which you can do things very quickly, so you can give very good service. So this is what the first basic session is all about. So do you guys want to create that what is that AWS account now, or you guys already have it? And Ramesh has spoken,
Hello.
and I think DP has spoken. Shiva
Yeah.
is yet
Yeah.
to speak.
I
Yeah.
have an account.
Okay, no
I got an
problem.
account here.
Okay, so you do you can create it your own, Ramesh, or you want me to be it's straight and simple. If you want me to show how to create, I think you created already, so you don't require me to create. I think it's a foolish question to put forward.
Yeah, I'll do it. I'll
Yeah,
do it for the next session. Yeah.
yeah. So AWS account creation. Once we have all accounts, right? Maybe what I'll do is, but being I think because you all security professionals, you must be knowing Linux, right? You may be very comfortable on Linux.
I
Yeah,
would
sort of.
say treat us like dumbs only, just in case.
No, it's not.
Rather than thinking.
Because this is not Linux session, right? If you know that ls is for list and it is a command line mostly, and yum we use for installing packages and something like that, and you use
Yeah,
view
yeah,
editor
yeah.
to.
Those things are fine. If you're, telling us some commands and typing in, I think we should be able to understand.
Yeah, then
That's what
that's
my
fine.
view
Yeah, yeah.
is.
But when I am typing commands, right, I will tell why am I typing it. Then
Yeah, that should be fine.
yeah, so just in case. And maybe mkdir is to create folder, rm is to remove file, something. These things when we're doing, right, let's say when we're installing nginx, we may have to type the command if it is red hat, or apt get if it is ubuntu. So and again, to edit a file,
Yeah,
we made
fine.
something like that. Yeah. So you want me to go ahead, okay, before that, right, if you are using mac, it's fine, because we have something called command line. We have terminal. But if you are using windows operating system, I would require you to have ssh putty, and also puttygen. So can you guys download putty and puttygen from putty.org?
Yeah, I already have that.
Okay.
So, what you will use if you are using Mac?
Mac, if you have,
Terminal.
you have terminal.
Okay,
So you
okay,
press space and command, right? If you press space and command, do you see here search bar here open?
yeah,
So if you press type command and space, you will have a search bar, and you can type pretty much anything you want. Terminal, or let's say go to meeting. If I have go to meeting, if I need Skype, I have it
okay,
already installed. You can. So that is like a search for your computer. Command and space you can use to open anything. So so partition we don't
okay,
need it often. Partition, see, if it is linux, or if it is mac as a client. When I say client, we have a desktop, right? When we have a desktop like mac or linux, the pem file, there is something called pem file which we will download as a key file. You need these file to log into the instance that we will be creating. But if you have a windows operating system as a desktop, let's say as a client. When I say client, is nothing but which we use to log into the ec2 machines. If you have mac or linux, we have no problem, we don't really have to worry about it. But if we have windows, um, by default the file that we will be creating and downloading from amazon web services is .pem file. When we are using windows as a client, we need to convert that pem file to ppk file. And once we've converted that pem file to ppk file, please make sure that you don't remove that. If you don't remove that, you can use that same ppk and pem file for all your class. Even if you remove, that doesn't really matter. So that again may take your extra time, again downloading an extra key, so separate key, and then using that. And make sure, if you lost your key, whenever you are using your resources, let's say your whenever you create an ec2 instance, you will have to acknowledge aws, or acknowledge in the console somewhere with a checkbox saying that you have that key, and you are accepting to amazon. You will be able to get into that machine only if you have that key. If you have lost that key, that is not their problem. So again, if you lost that key, you cannot do anything. So it's always better you have your key, and whenever you're creating, you just make sure that you have that key.
Okay.
Okay, do you want me to show how to launch on Linux okay, some EC2 instance now, or are we good for today, and then we can take care next session?
Shall we quickly run through what are we going to do in the next session and when
Okay,
and
okay, sure.
right?
Okay, but what we will be doing in next session is we will just create okay, we will just run through AWS infrastructure. So what is an availability zone, what is an region, so something around that. So once we've covered that, we will create Linux instance, and we will also create Windows instance, and we will simply log into it just to make sure that we are able to launch and create Linux and Windows instances. We will cover EIP part, and we will cover EIP, and then we will see what are the operations that we can do with the EC2 instance, something like stop, start, restarting, and we will also see, let's say we've launched an instance with T2.micro. How do we do it if it is from converting, right, one instance type into another instance type, and we will see the type of the families. We will walk through and we will understand just what is spot instances and types of instances, what is reserved instance. So these things, once we get that and then understand that, we will go with the IAM. So that is what I've lined for the next class.
Okay. And
So what I was done was, so we have some two files here, and if you see, where is that? Yeah, if you see, it has only 3 runs, right? 3 runs, right? The last run was February 14th. This was run, maybe not, this is a folder, and this is a folder. Yeah. So the last time this ran was February 15th. Okay. So now we will just make it run. We will just add output block in Terraform. So something like that I can show you. I'm just, well, people are asking, so I thought doing something on similar lines. So that could be failure, but the intention of showing here is we will be discussing about it. If you don't understand, please don't mind. And I'm also making sure about the code. The output block is rightly syntaxed. So output and something value equal to yes. Yeah, perfect. Output yes and value yes. We were all good. Now what I'm doing is git. I'm trying to add this into git. I'll also show GitHub. You are able to see it, right? Are you all able to see it? If I refresh it,
Yeah.
yeah, if I refresh it, it is 3 days ago. And if I try to add the same file, right, it says there is no change, everything is up to date. That is why I've added that git add here. So git status, if I press git status here now, and some okay, so now the modified file is easy to uh, git status. When I type now git commit -m, so that is here. So removed output block. So this is what -ms appear here. Added output block, and this is what done. Now if I git push origin master, if I just type it this, and that's been should have been pushed now. If I just typed, so added output block 15 seconds ago, that should have triggered something here. See here, build queue. So something is happening here now, pending. Do you see that? It'll expire in 3.1 sec. So it is still in pending. So it'll see here now things are happening here. So now things are happening whenever we pushed, right. So it is actually using Jenkins, and what it all doing is it is doing something with Terraform. So similar lines we will do, and there is some just to show you. I have something called Ansible.
Sorry, Pavan, before you go
Yeah.
onto the Ansible bit,
Yeah.
can you run through, describe what you have done?
Yeah, and I'm just showing
We
you
can
the.
see.
We will have a detailed
Yeah,
session about this surely, and I'm just this kind of
yeah.
things
Okay.
I'll be showing is what this kind of things I'll show you, or else maybe I'll create a job on similar lines, or else we will
Okay.
try to reproduce the same thing and then understand what I've really done. So
Yeah.
this is not the same way people used to do it, or this is not the same thing people do it. So I'm saying when we know these things, this will add to our skill, so that
Yeah.
we can think on the similar lines. So this actually this job is on this job is about Ansible. It'll execute these things, so you will get to know these things. My intention is you get to know these things, and you will be able to do these things. What all we need is something on AWS, and if you understand Jenkins, and if you understand Ansible, you will be able to do these things. And you should also have slight command on your Linux operating system. When you have these things, you can do that. Why did I do this is somebody when I my friend has seen some jobs online, and then he told me that somebody is asking that to run Terraform within Jenkins. So he want me to reproduce that so that it will help him to go out and search. So
Okay.
I've done this for him and then shown him, and he asked me to write some Terraform things, and I wrote for him. And he, again, this Ansible, right, we have a
Yeah.
project that runs Ansible through Jenkins. I thought, okay, how do we implement it? But I've took a lot of U-turns, and that turns this turns, and did something which I shouldn't be doing, and it's like bypassing security and other things. But all I wanted to is see is myself doing something with Jenkins with Ansible. So I've done this.
Okay.
We will go through something similar to this.
Yeah. Sounds like, yeah, that'll give us what we want.
Yeah. So this is what.